Across the globe on Thursday, October 10th, we recognise World Mental Health Day. Mental health includes our emotional, psychological and social well-being. It affects how we think, feel, act and determines the decisions we make, how we handle stress, relate to others and so much more each and every day. In honour of this, I wanted to revisit a very important podcast episode with Craig Gaunt, who alongside his family founded the Debbie Gaunt Foundation. The foundation is a not-for-profit aiming to destigmatise and normalise conversations around women's traditional adult years and especially the impact the perimenopause and menopause can have on mental health. Debbie Gaunt lost her life to suicide and Craig and his family have been dedicated to spreading information, resources and support for women going through this transitional stage of life. In this bite-sized episode, I chat with Craig about some of the symptoms of the perimenopause that impact mental health. You can listen to the full-length conversation by searching for Craig Gaunt and All About You on your podcast app. And if you or someone you love is struggling, you can find some helpful resources linked in the show notes. Now to my conversation with Craig. Craig, if we can step back a little bit in the story, tell us a little bit about what you can maybe see in hindsight was going on with Debbie. Like, do you think that she was seeming a bit more anxious, or it's just so our listeners can maybe be aware of maybe, you know, a friend or a family or themselves if they're feeling some of these symptoms that you think in hindsight may be relevant.
Yeah, in hindsight, you can sort of look back, but she was sick with the flu too, so that was masked a lot.
Yeah, sort of clouding the whole picture a little bit.
And because we had no idea what menopause or perimenopause, never knew what was happening, and probably she didn't either. But you could see she was sort of withdrawing from doing stuff. A few of her friends said she wouldn't make eye contact with them. And towards the end, it just turned into psychosis, sort of related to being hypnotised. Have you ever seen anyone hypnotised? You just lose the actual, like, say if you can eat an onion and you think it's an apple.
Yeah.
That's how easily the brain is tricked.
Right.
And I think that's
how she seemed to you.
That's how she was, yes.
Yeah. Was Debbie an anxious person or a depressed person in previous years, or was this a completely new thing for her?
No, she wasn't depressed. She was always a little bit paranoid of stuff. A little bit anxious, but not where you'd...
And paranoid in terms of that she would worry about what people were thinking or if she'd done the wrong thing, or...
A little bit. Not bad that would be anything.
That you'd be worried about it.
Yeah, just nagging the kids and just normal stuff like that. But it just turned into full paranoid.
And do you think that whenever you look back in hindsight, was there any of those... You know, everybody always thinks menopause and hot flushes, don't they? They always think of people having these hot flushes and fanning themselves. Were there any of those kind of symptoms was she sleeping okay and things like that?
I don't think she would, because I get up early for work, so I don't always go to bed early, so I wouldn't know.
Yeah.
But I don't think she was, because she had a couple of weeks off work sick, and she wouldn't. Apparently, she rang up and got another week off as well, and she didn't sort of tell us.
Right. Okay.
So it was just that 2 or 3 week period.
Yeah.
But when you can look back, you can see she just wasn't herself before that as well.
Yeah. But it was not probably bad enough before that to really notice anything.
No, it's all. Jay Cherie says a lot of this is all retrospective.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm presuming Jay Cherie said that she'd heard similar stories and had similar things happen to other patients before.
Yeah.
And I think one of the conversations you and I have had previously is that, you know, there's a lot of focus and rightly that goes on to young men, particularly in suicide, but we don't perhaps hear about women committing suicide, but actually it's not as uncommon as we would like it to be. And we know, you and I have talked about this, that there's a real peak for women at this age to, you know, lose their home, lose their job and lose their life.
Lose their families.
Yeah. And has that been a bit of a eye-opener for you? Like, is that something that you knew about before?
No. Well, you do see a lot of people break up at that sort of age too. There's just an eye-opener now and you think, well, what, maybe something's going on.
Yeah.
But no one knows. Like, that's the trouble, is nobody knows what's happening, as you probably experience every day.
Yeah, absolutely. And what about your male friends? Like, Do you feel like they have been sort of surprised and have expressed that their lack of knowledge to you? Do they chat? Do your male friends chat with you about it all?
They do. So a lot of them are the same thing. They've all split up as well in that sort of age as well.
So lots of relationship breakdown.
Yeah,
it definitely is a real peak at this point. And, as we've talked about on this podcast, I think that's going on for many reasons. It can be obviously just relationship issues, but clearly, women can be depressed, anxious, not sleeping, trying to juggle, maybe teenage kids and a job and a house and then, add in lots of physical symptoms like, joint pain and brain fog and feeling anxious or panicking and your heart's racing and your ears are itchy and your skin's itchy and, having sex is painful and, you become really paranoid about your relationship and the next thing, the wheels are just falling off,
Brain fog was a big one. She was all over the books and all over the accounting. She did the books for us and she just couldn't, she looked at it and she just couldn't understand it anymore.
Yeah.
Within a couple of weeks.
Wow. So she had always done the accounting and bookkeeping for your business.
Yeah.
And then it just clearly became a bit of a challenge.
It's like she just couldn't comprehend it anymore.
Yeah.
It's just what you call it, just like brain fog. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of women will express to me that that's one of their worst symptoms, is just feeling like they're no longer sort of on top of their game. I literally had 2 patients yesterday that I saw, both had very, very high profile jobs, and both told me they both retired at 57, interestingly, and for exactly the same reason. They just didn't feel they could do their job properly anymore. There's been quite a bit of research in the UK where they've actually, I think the government funded it just to look at how many women were leaving the workplace during this time. And it was absolutely jaw-dropping, that so many women were dropping out of employment. And isn't that really so sad? Because you've got these women who really should be at the peak of their career, so much knowledge, so much experience, not having to deal with like tiny little toddlers at home anymore, probably ready to take their career to the next level. But then all these symptoms make it...
They've done all the hard work.
They've done all the hard work. And then, it's like nearly like your body and your brain suddenly let you down.
And the government's answer was to give them a few weeks extra sick leave. It's like, wow, thanks.
One thing that I hear repeatedly from all my new patients is that often their past experiences with appointments to address their symptoms of menopause have made them feel rushed, unheard, and frustrated. As a doctor of 25 years with first-hand experience and understanding the many symptoms that one woman may encounter in her menopause transition, I knew I couldn't do this subject justice in a 15-minute appointment, which is why I've created the Menopause Appointments, designed to support you on your journey through the perimenopause and postmenopause. This 60-minute session gives you and your doctor the ideal amount of time to understand your concerns, needs, and desires. It gives us time to do a comprehensive assessment, including a full review of your medical history, assessing your mood, your sleep, weight, and libido, and much more. Receive referrals for tests as needed, prescribe suitable medications if required, perform a skin analysis, and leave you with a comprehensive, tailored plan unique to you. This is crafted to help smooth your transition through the perimenopause, postmenopause, and allow you to thrive, not just survive. If you or someone you know is experiencing perimenopause or continuing to have symptoms in the postmenopause, these appointments are for you. You can book an appointment with one of our doctors today. We have clinics located at Forster Speech and Newcastle, and you can book online at youbydrShaunaWatts.com.au. This podcast and any information, advice, opinions, or statements within it do not constitute medical, healthcare, or other professional advice. Information is provided for educational and entertainment purposes only. If you have any health concerns, always consult your doctor.